Justin, you spent time during the off season working with Matt. What was some of the advice he gave you heading towards your second year and a much bigger stage?
Yeah, man, it's been really cool meeting Matt last year. I think that was one of the awesome experiences, just being there with just 5 athletes. All 5 of us honestly got really close, and obviously Matt's the best to ever do it. So just kind of to go there and kind of soak in like his mindset. I mean, he was the best for 5 years in a row for a reason, and I think that has a lot to do with his work ethic. So as much as I can take in and kind of embrace the suck when you get into the events and be able to take 10 steps back to take 20 steps forward is just to be humble in your training and be willing to work on your weaknesses and be honest with yourself that you do have weaknesses.
Thank you. A couple more questions. Next up.
This question is from Rachel with Barbend for Annie. What do you want people to know about your pregnancy as a CrossFit athlete? And what do you wish you knew at the start of your pregnancy that you know now?
Whoa. I want people to know that no matter how their pregnancy is or how their birth is, that they're going to be able to make their way back. I guess that was the biggest shock to me. I had a great pregnancy. I was able to train throughout my whole pregnancy. I felt fantastic. I thought it was going to be really hard on me, but I felt great. But a huge surprise was after having my daughter was how long I had. Not just it wasn't I gained a lot of weight. I lost the extra weight really quickly, but I had this big empty belly and I just didn't recognize my body. And that was really, really difficult for me because my body is my work tool and it's been such a big part of my identity. Not just the way that I look, but the way that I feel. And I felt so powerless, so weak, and just not myself. And that was the biggest shock. And I would like women to know that they're gonna make their way back from it. It's gonna be hard, but give it a couple of weeks and you're gonna start regaining yourself again. A lot of people judged it, how quickly I started training. Dude, I did not start quickly training. It took me a really long time to start training. But it wasn't because I had to compete at the CrossFit Games. That wasn't even crossing my mind at that point. It was I wanted to gain myself again, if that makes sense. I wanted to gain the empowerment and the confidence that I could continue being myself after giving birth.
Thanks, Annie.
Fabio from Brazil. Gui, we all know that back home, some people do not believe you would make that far. So I want to know how much of that pressure fired you up, and to make sure this message gets across, I'll ask the question in Portuguese as well. Gui, a gente sabe que em casa muita gente não acreditava que você chegaria até aqui, então gostaria de saber qual é a sua mensagem e o quanto dessa pressão te fez chegar onde você está até agora nesse momento.
In Brazil, people says that the gringos, that's what we call in Brazil, the Americans and all the athletes that are not from Brazil, they are superior from of the Brazilians and all that stuff, and I don't like it. I don't see myself this way, so I'm just here to prove that everyone here is human. I'm a human also, so if they can do, I can do either. And that's it. The pressure is good. The pressure is a privilege. So I'm here, and I'm ready to prove myself, to prove that I'm not like they say, you know. So that's it. The feeling is I belong here, you know.
Yes,
not
you do.
Like they say.
I know you're saying you're human, but to us, all of you guys are superhuman indeed. We have time for one more question before we wrap this up.
This is a question for Laura. It was submitted online. Laura, you won today's first event by about 15 seconds. When you learned what that event consisted of, can you share your thought process on how you were going to approach that event?
So when I looked at the event, I I basically saw rope climbs as the main part of the event, so it was 16 of them. So I just tried to keep a good pace on that, and then took the ski as a recovery ski, basically. So just like think about breathing and like just getting through it, but not really pushing as hard. And the cheese chunk that we had to carry wasn't, I mean, it was heavy, but it wasn't that heavy, and it was also not a not a far distance. It was like 20 steps or something like that. So basically it was a rope climb workout, and I just knew if I can get the rope climbs done as fast as possible, the rest is just gonna be like a smooth flow.
I'm a little concerned for you because you said it wasn't heavy enough, and Dave Castro's listening in.
That's the right answer, because that was not supposed to be heavy. So, and a lot of people I don't think understood that. And some people said make that heavier, but I didn't want it heavier because that would have changed the whole thing. I wanted the whole thing to just be constant movement, and yes, if you're going to get exposed, you're going to get exposed on the rope climbs. So she's exactly right. That was not heavy, and nor was it meant to be.
It was just the looks, the cheese.
We are in Madison, Wisconsin.
I do love the cheese.
Thank you so much for joining us here. We'll see you back tomorrow.